Hey guys, I'm Jennings Couch here at Holywell Studio, and today I'm going to be showing you the top 5 Logic Pro X plugins that I think you need to know how to use when you start songwriting or music production. So let's get straight into it. First things off, I'm going to play you the track that I've made. It's just a really boring, simple little track, good for an example. So this is what it sounds like. So really simple, just a quick drum beat, bass, piano, and a guitar. And that's about it. That's what we're going to start with. The first thing I think we should look at is channel EQ. EQing is so important when it comes to production. And I'm not a music producer, I'm a songwriter, but I'm sort of diving into production as well. So let's start by EQing the guitar. Maybe it needs to cut out some low end. So here's how we're going to do that. We're going to grab the guitar track. We're going to go over here to the channel strip. And we're going to go to EQ, channel EQ, and the guitar is in mono. Let's have a watch of the analyzer and see what it's showing us. So you see right around here there's quite a lot of low end, which to me is clashing with the bass a little bit. So we're going to put a low cut on there like that and have a listen. So let's solo the guitar and see what it sounds like on its own. That's a bit better, so we can compare with and without. Oh yeah, much better, losing that low end. I feel like it might also need some more some mid-range here, so let's do that. Add a bit of that, and perhaps even a tiny bit of high end as well. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Cool. I think the bass, this 808 that I have going, it could also use a tiny bit more low end. So let's grab a channel EQ and let's pump that bass up a little bit more. Nice. Let's try that in the track. Yeah, I like that. Cool. It's made it a tiny bit louder because when you use the EQ and you're bumping up frequencies, you're going to get a little bit more of the volume as well. So I'm just going to back down on the volume on that bass a tiny bit. Cool. Next thing I'm going to talk about is compression. And Logic has a decent built-in compressor. I'm only going to be using the Logic plugins today. So let's have a look at their compressors. So I'm going to stick one on the guitar for now. Cool, so I'm going to back down on the threshold a little bit and pump up the makeup, and that'll just compress the level of the signal a bit more. So it's made it significantly louder, so I'm going to click on the limiter on Logic's compressor, so that will limit it to, let's say, minus 0.5 dB, just below 0. I'm going to back off on that makeup a tiny bit as well. Cool, yeah, that works for me. So what I'm going to do in terms of compression, I feel like that almost everything on this track needs compression, just to make it sound a little bit more tight and the levels are all crunched together. So I'm going to open up the mixer by pushing X on the keyboard, and I'm literally just going to copy by holding Alt and clicking and dragging. I'm going to copy this compressor to all the other tracks that I have going, which is the keyboard, the bass, and the hi-hats, kick, and snare. So let's hear how that sounds with the compressor on all of those. I could bus all of the tracks to the compressor, but I'm not going to get into bussing right now because this is just a very beginner tutorial. So let's hear how this sounds now. So that's made the hi-hats a bit too loud for me, so I'm going to bring down that level just on the channel here. Cool, okay, I'm happy with that for now. So the next thing we're going to look at, and as you can see I have my little list over here, we're going to look at some reverb because this track's pretty dry right now. And the only thing I think needs some reverb is the guitar and the keys. So let's have a little play around with that. So again, using only Logic's built-in plugins, no third-party plugins, we're going to go to reverb, and I'm going to use the Space Designer today. So as you can see, this is going to give us a really long reverb by this graph here. So I'll just show you what that sounds like. Okay, so very long reverb, a bit too long for me, so I'm just going to bring down that wet for now. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty cool. What I noticed there as well is it's bringing up some of the low frequencies. So I'm going to go back to my channel EQ on the guitar and just cut out a bit more of those low frequencies. Let's have a listen. Nice. I'm happy with that. And I'm going to put some reverb on the keys as well. So again, I'm just going to open up the mixer and just literally drag the Space Designer over to the keys channel. And let's see what that sounds like. Cool, I like that. Once again, I've noticed that there's a tiny bit too much low end coming through, so I'm going to go to a channel EQ. And you can do that by just clicking the EQ button up here, and that'll open up your channel EQ. So I'm just going to do a low cut on the keys as well. Yeah, I like that. Cool. And all together. Not bad. The hi-hats are still way too loud for me, so I'm going to bring those that down as well. Yep, they need to come down a tiny bit more, so I'm just going to go to the compressor and turn down the makeup. Nice. I'm going to look at the kick drum now, and I'm going to go to the compressor, and I'm going to really bump that up because the kick needs to be thumping. I'm going to bring down the attack so it has a really quick attack and a short release as well. Nice. And then I'm going to open up an EQ on that kick and just bump up the low end a tiny bit. Not that one, I'm going to use this one here. Nice. And then I'm going to use another one over here, make this one a really small peak, and just bump it up around the mid-ranges. Oh yeah, so that makes such a difference. So here's without the EQ on the kick. So I'm just going to solo the kick for now so you can hear with and without the EQ. So here's with, and without. Nice. It just gives it a little more punch and a little more grit to it as well. Cool guys, so the next thing on my list is distortion, and Logic has a decent built-in distortion plugin if it's used sparingly. It's not the greatest, but it does the job. So we're going to start with the guitar, and we're going to go over here, and just before the reverb, we're going to go to distortion, and I'm just going to use the simple distortion plugin. So let's have a listen to that on the guitar. Okay, not bad. It makes it significantly louder, so I'm going to take down the output a tiny bit. I'm also going to take down the drive a tiny bit, and I'm going to bump up the tone because it cuts some of the high frequencies and I want to get some of those back. So let's have a listen now. And without. Oh yeah, it makes such a difference. I like it a lot better, so I'm going to stick that on and leave it like that. I'm only going to put distortion on the guitar because I think it's the only thing that needs it. So let's move on to the next and final plugin on my list, which is sample delay. And sample delay is my all-time favorite plugin in Logic or any other program that I'm using. It just gives you a nice wide stereo sound without having to record things twice or use any other kind of widening plugins or whatever. So sample delay, let's go. So I'm hearing sample delay on the guitar, the keys, and potentially the hi-hats. So let's start with the guitar. So we go to the channel strip, go to delay, sample delay, stereo. And all you're going to want to do is choose delay left or delay right and move this knob up to whatever value you see fit. I usually go between 500 and 1000. I want the guitar to be wide but not super wide. So I'm going to go about, I think I'm going to go about 450 around on here. And let's have a listen to the guitar now. Nice. So you can hear that it's wide in stereo. Let's go to the keyed track, and again, delay, sample delay, stereo. And I want the keys to be a bit wider than the guitar. I want to feel like, if you think of this, the stereo spectrum, I want the keys to be really wide on the outside, the guitar a little bit more in, and then the kick and the bass right in the center. So I'm going to widen the keys to maybe about 600. Let's try that in the track. Nice, yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm noticing now that the guitar, the distortion is a bit too much on the guitar, so I'm going to take down the drive and potentially the output a tiny bit as well. I just feel like it's distorting a little too much for me. Last but not least, let's go to the hi-hats and add a sample delay on those as well. Sample delay always in stereo, otherwise you won't get that wide effect. And I'm just going to sample these a tiny bit, like 150 or something like that. I think they could be a tiny bit wider actually, so let's go maybe 200, 300. Yeah, I like that. That's really cool. Alright guys, so that's it. Those were my top 5 built-in Logic plugins that as a beginner songwriter or producer, I think you need to know and need to know how to use. If you have any other questions or want more detail on anything, leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to get back to you. Thanks for watching guys, I'll see you in the next video.